everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to our first episode of the Khy Files. Those of you who know exactly where that kind of came from. So, yeah. So the big thing that with this show is going to be a little bit different than our Thursday night show. And the big difference is number one, it's just going to be me and Khy. Number two is that we are going to be looking at kind of the nuts and bolts of things. We're going to get into the inner workings, how different systems handle different uh, operations or different rule sets of the same thing. So, and tonight we are going to be looking at defense. So, that is one of the big things that we're going to be looking at here is how defense works in the different systems. And Khy has actually picked out a few that he really wanted to focus on. And tonight we're going to be looking at the World of Darkness or Storyteller, the West End Games Dodge, also the soak abilities of a few games, and also the static D&D, AC. So, and dodge and things along those lines, and how that all kind of fits into everything. So, Khy, how was your weekend? Let's start with that.
It was a busy one. Sunburned. I'm enduring it. Beyond that, I'm okay.
Okay. So hopefully you didn't get too sunburned.
No, but I'm pale, and it's the sun. The only thing I'm missing from you is the red hair.
Yeah. Oh, trust me. There are two modes for me when I'm out in the sun: pale and lobster.
Right.
So yeah.
Dead
you
fish
really
and cooked fish. Got it.
Dead fish, cooked fish, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So we were gonna look at the a lot of the nuts and bolts here of the forms of defense. So I'm kind of this is more or less your show on this one, and we'll just kind of bounce off each other as we go. So let's start with the World of Darkness or Storyteller system.
Okay, so we all know that one is your stat plus skill equals equals your dice pool you roll, and you're looking for successes based on the number set by your GM. That kind of game really kind of pushes you hard towards. It's the benefit of the agile character. It's a definite focus towards. There's only two ways that you can really play that character. Well, three ways to play a character. You either avoid all combat like the plague, which is the worst solution, but it's an option because it is. You play a lump of meat, and you just take the hits and you soak them all day long, or you avoid all damage whatsoever, which is these super agile dex characters, and it's all about they can't touch you. And this gives you the ideal of so the choices made by that game is simply, are you aiming for what kind of goal are you aiming for building that character? This also carried over into other games that give you, say, perfect dodge, perfect defense, extra automatic successes to your dodges, the various White Wolf era games that all lean towards throw dice, pray for sevens or sixes or fours, depending on how generous your GM is. But you're just throwing dice all day long, which is a okay way of going. But like I said, that choice by the designers programs you that there's only two ways you're going to play a character, and that's going to be all the stamina and all the soak skills, or all the agility, because you're going to turn into red mist the moment you're hit. And listen, that was the choice made by the designers, and not a bad one, but it certainly limits the kind of style of game you're going to play. And on top of that, you had that game also gave you, oh, are you going to be doing, hey there, hi there, and like I said, for me, it's like that was just my original opinion on what the choice by the designers did for that particular game franchise, and ultimately the kind of characters that you would see dominate in that particular genre. I'm not going to say it's a bad one or a good one. It's just simply you know what you're going to see, and if you were smart, you kind of intermixed a little bit, but you saw ideas, especially since you're playing a character who's starting, and most games don't last super long to be able to put a lot of XP unless you're in a really cool chronicle that goes for a really long time. Then congrats, you're playing one of the best games you can play. But you always see that gravitation of design choice of never hit, always hit, but ignores everything. Does that sound like a good summary of how that system worked?
Yeah, except for you missed one.
Okay.
You also forgot using your minions as your meat shield.
That might have been the third option, where you find somebody else to stand between you and the bullets.
Yeah. And I mean, and truthfully, when you're looking at Vampire, when you're looking at, even, I hate to say it, even with the Exalted in the storyteller system, those are very viable options depending on how your stats are statted up. If you're
right.
if you're a charismatic person, you say, "Oh, minions, go forward." Or as we like to do in Todd's game, is we have the squeegeon.
You throw the squeegeon
With the squee in the Exalted game, and the squeegeon goes forth, and you say banana, and they turn into their ninth circle, aspects instead of the cute little goblinoids that they are, and they just rip things apart, and that is also a viable defense.
True, but the thing here is that while it is an awesome defense, that is a third path that leads you to the first two. So the guy you're going to squish with them is going to be using melee parry, shoot, dodge, spell soak, and so you're going to see those. The squee are just doing the dice rolls for you while you run the F away.
Well, but then if you're looking at something like along the lines of mage, that's a whole different ball of wax, just because
dear God, yes.
The way that the spells are set up. If you happen to be playing a technocracy game where you're the part of the technocracy, because I've seen that too. That's completely different also, because you've got, force fields and everything else that kind of blend into that.
And those trace back to ultimately dodge soak. Hey there. But like I said, like the force fields gave you bonuses to soak. There's cybernetics that gave you bonuses to dodge. We all know vampires and their celerity, giving them incredible. We'll get back to celerity when we start getting into action economies and the multipliers that giving those that grants you. We'll come. It might not be this week. But we're coming back to celerity. Trust me. Those noses points, those those rages, those blood points, we're coming back for you. I'm not forgetting about them. But today's defense bonus action bullshit is definitely for another day.
Well, and yeah, that'll be a whole different episode.
That's a whole other day. That's a whole other week. Haste and bonus action bullshit is definitely it. we need to sanitize that title, but I think that's what it's going to be the subtitle for it. Bonus action bullshit.
Exactly.
But
Bonus
it's like,
action bull.
yep. Bonus
All
action
right.
BS. We all know it, and you know how it's like if you stack it, it's amazing. But
Okay, so we've talked about the storytelling.
yeah.
Let's look at the Western game side of it. How did they handle the defense?
Oh dear God. It almost sounds a lot like, it's going to sound way too familiar because we just talked about storyteller, but now it's roll a pile of dice, look for and instead of looking for sevens, you're just adding. And now you look at the pass fail mechanic, and at this point you come to, well, I roll like your agility, so your dex is the most amazing skill in the entire universe because it powers everything. The choice that was made, which was it's dodge, it's dodge, it's parry, it's block, it's lightsaber combat. It's legitimately the one skill you need to not die. Sorry, the one stat you need to die, and then a lot of skills that back up not dying. While you have one skill that does the I'm going to shoot everybody or stab everyone or punch. No, punching was brawling. That was somewhere else, but you still saw but this was this is another active defense system where you have I attack, and then the defender gets to roll his pile of dice to see if he doesn't die, that he doesn't get hit, or and then it then turns into damage, which of course you saw the players who stacked on I have a high strength, I wear a lot of armor, I'm going to soak hits, though it wasn't always the most viable strategy. And if your GM started throwing big weapons out, but your Wookiee player and your Barbell, your characters who have a 4 strength are and who are wearing standard, stormtrooper equivalent armor are usually ignoring most blasters, which are running around in the 3 to 4 dice range, and you're able to pretty much ignore everything. You're edging into the Shadowrun Termitrol area of soaking hits. So therefore, it's like all you're trying to do is dodge or not get killed by soaking, which is but again similar to White Wolf, but with less ways of making you invincible. But everyone's damage is way lower until you start bringing in vehicle scale, downgrading into personal scale, and then you just look. The moment a tank looks at you funny, you just run away because you're going to die. It's just that simple. I mean, the Walker and the Starfighter win no matter what your score is, no matter how powerful you think you are. You may have stacked the best armor, the best shield, the best personal shield, and you had the highest strength, and you're still going to get one-shotted by the AT-AT that decides to, open up on its heavy blaster on you, and you turn into a red mist because he's going to beat you by 16. And that's the one thing about that game, is that the margin of failure is very thin when you start thinking about it. I mean, with real brutal honesty, it's a really thin margin of error of 16 points, especially if you're playing with the wild die of 2nd edition. And suddenly you're going, if that wild die explodes once, and suddenly you're looking at the idea of, he beat me by 13, I'm crippled. And you fall over and limp on the ground, moaning like an Ewok. Just, and then hoping your fellow player walks over to you and, rocks you gently on the moss and then pokes you with a stick as you make cute cry sounds.
Oh.
Come on, it's Star Wars. You knew what you were signing up for when you're playing.
Oh, see, okay. So I have played Western games, Star Wars, a couple times.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I had a gentleman who was going to be in one of our games, and he basically destroyed the game before we even started because
I'm sorry.
I was wanting to play a not a full Jedi, but basically an acolyte.
Right.
And he's like, no, if you're going to play a Jedi or an acolyte, you have to be able to recite the Jedi code by
Oh,
heart.
that's
Yeah,
no.
yeah. So I was like, yeah.
The thing here
So
is that okay, the Jedi Code exists, but it really wasn't a thing. And I'm gonna say like, or maybe it was for other people, but I sure didn't notice it too well in 1993, 94 when we were playing it a lot. You know, from
well,
93 and 98 when we were playing Star Wars pretty religiously before the era of WotC came and we all got D20 Star Wars. I'm sorry.
right. No, it's fine. The thing is that with that the whole thing of because he was part of the what the hell is it, the 501st.
If I go first, yeah,
So he had that mindset of no, it has to be because
as
the
close to
canon,
movie accurate.
yeah.
Oh God,
And then when I looked at him and goes, but what if I want to be a Grit? Oh, he lost it at that point because he was just like, oh, the Greys don't exist. I mean, I
right.
mean, they're in
I'm sorry.
canon, barely.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Back when we were a bunch of Dark Horse comic fans back mid '90s, so you know we were reading a lot of those and a lot of like the Timothy Zahn comics and books that were being released at the time, and or the X-Wing series video games were coming out and the novels were coming out, and that was our guide. So I guess our Star Wars was a lot more fun than the 501st era
Yeah.
players who want movie only.
Well, see,
And
and see with that, you talked about the Tie Fighter or not Tie Fighter, the X-Wing series and everything else. Piggy. That's all I gotta say.
yes,
I loved it. A
yes.
Gamorrean who had a voice box put in so he could talk.
See, that was the fun part. I mean, we had like one of our Star Wars groups was literally just simply we had a Jawa engineer. He smuggled he said my character smuggled himself off planet, and his character just made his way through the galaxy, being a jury rigger a scrap mechanic, and when we were just at a port and we were going, look, we need a few extra bodies for our crew. And this little Jawa overhears us and walks over to us and, starts making Jawa noises. And we all look at him and go, who speaks Jawa? I'm like, oh, fuck no, I've never been to that damn planet. I don't know where And then one guy goes, wait, I speak Jawa. And then, suddenly we now have somebody goes, okay, he says he can fix the ship. And we're like, grab him. And just like walk off with this sack of glowing eyes, and then throwing him on the ship and going, "Make it work," and him making and he was fun because he was playing all the making silly noises and hand gestures and shit, and then he's like, and then we're like, "What did he say? What did he say?" And he's like, "I need more parts," and we just like wheelbarrow of junk and just throw it into his room and said, "Make the ship work," and he's like, "Done." And it was a great game because we weren't we were playing it serious, but we weren't serious because Star Wars isn't a serious universe. It's not serious business. It's not Traveler. If I want to play sci-fi that has to have defined rules, I'll play Traveler. It's up there on the shelf. I love it, but I'll play Traveler. But Star Wars is all about I get out of my ship, I fly somewhere, I go fight the bad guys. And the bad guys are really mean. Maybe.
I'll play first edition track.
Mongoose second isn't bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
I still prefer that. Plus, I'll have to find it, but somewhere I've got a copy of the Scouts Brew table.
Oh yeah.
That someone made a copy of for me, which is just a fun thing. Well, speaking of travel, I know that wasn't like on your list, but we've opened the door. So
I did open the door. Let me go.
Grab it. Go grab it.
All right.
So looking at the defense wise on there, it actually does take a few of the items that we've already talked about, and then some. For the simple fact of if you're looking at, I believe it definitely has a dodge mechanic.
Oh,
You're looking at, if depending on your armor, it has an armor rating and how things can penetrate it. Then you're looking at starship combat with, you they're fine. They shot missiles and lasers at us. Well, sandcasters.
yep.
And it's like that's a whole different type of defensive mechanic. So you grab the book. So
and yes, 2D and Insignations. Are you talking about the Modifius RPG for Star?
Yes. Yep.
I do like that game, but unfortunately, I kind of want more people to actually run that one to be able to say I've played it more. But I got to listen in and sit in on some people who were playing the I early Modifius when the game first came out, and it was like when we found out where it's like, hey, where are the rules for damage and stress at? And they realized, oh wait, the first edition book didn't print those rules for how you get injured in it. Yeah. And they were like, okay, we need to figure out how to play this game because the game is beautiful. The rules need help. And I don't mind it. But
I will say that if you get a chance, go back and look at Bear's running of that, because he was running 2 or 3 different campaigns. Okay. One was a space station. One was a one where they got kicked back into the future. And then it's kind of like take a Voyager, but then slap in what was it, Discovery, where they got kicked into the future type thing. And then he had another one which was just a regular starship around type thing. And each of them had their own things. And there are some things where he has gone through and said, okay, these don't make sense. This is what we're doing for it, which that goes back to just being a GM and just throwing that out there. But but I would say if you want to look at how it can run and run well, look at those.
I honestly think that Modifius did their best work. Now, mind you, I'm biased to no end. So for me, it's Homeworld. It's the Homeworld RPG, which is pretty much the Modifius engine, but in a much more beloved to me at my core heart of hearts. And that was definitely, they obviously learned whatever problem they had with Star Trek and then made a better RPG. But then again, I'm biased. I'm a Homeworld fan, so I'm going to go. Yeah, it's the same engine, same rule set. But I don't know. It's more geared towards the idea that you're going to be customizing ships. You're going to be doing a lot more of its space combat because it's Homeworld, and less. I'm going on an away team down onto the ground, and we're going to the planet of something weird on a cardboard set, which I love. I love my Trek. I really do. But I know what it is. I know what I'm playing, unless we're going to be playing with certain people, at which point I just kind of go, please run something better. And please run something else. Please stop ruining Trek for me. Please stop ruining Trek. Much like how you had your please stop ruining Star Wars for me person, I have a please stop ruining Trek kind of people out there.
Yeah, but again, and we're gonna circle back to the Traveler since you grabbed the book there.
Yeah. Honestly, Traveler's the one game where it's like I look at it and go, do I really want to fight? I don't. Combat is scary. Combat is lethal. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here when the bullets start going. Mostly because of the fact that there's just too many ways to turn into complete and total a if you're not wearing armor, you're dead moments. And I kind of don't want to. I kind of don't want to do that because attacking hurts. Damage then comes in, and then you just turn into a mist. And honestly, a lot of that is we come back to our wonderful world of dodge, but please find cover. And so attack like I like it because it's at least a active offense, active defense. So if you stand still and do nothing, you get shot, you die. So you're encouraged to actually do something, find cover. Really, just find cover. And not unless you're wearing battle dress, but not all of us can afford. Not all of us got out of the service, and with a full set of battle armor, high tech level battle armor, and we all kind of go, no. A lot of us are all running around with our stun guns and low caliber pistols, or occasionally a low caliber energy gun, maybe a flechette gun, maybe something weird, and we're all kind of plinking at each other because we're all wearing flak vests because none of us can afford anything better because, like I said, not everyone gets to walk around in battle dress, which that when Shadow let my character in his game have battle dress as his normal armor, I'm like, what the no, please stop. Please stop. My character, who's useless in combat, is now immune to combat. Please don't do this. Please, I am now the Iron Giant. No, please. Stop shooting at me. I can't hurt you.
Yeah, I think my favorite one is when we came across a crashed ship, and there was 5 full sets of battle dress, and my guy's name was Jackson Hammer.
Oh, did you have back operations too, so you could use it?
I was a former Marine, so yes,
then you were designed for it.
I was designed for it, so it became a running joke, because everyone called me Jackhammer. Yeah. And then when we all went out, all 5 of the people that could wear the battle dress, we all went out. We were the Jackson 5.
Ow, hurt. That hurts.
But yeah, I mean, and truthfully, yeah, that's like the top tier. But looking at the space, the space combat side of it, really there really are no shields.
No, it's just
there are armor, and then your shields basically boil down to sandcasters, which diffuse things.
And no GM is going to give you a black globe generator. Just accept it. Just tell yourself you're never going to get one.
I was always happy when I got a Pac-Man. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
The what is it? The high cruiser. The this is the 9. The
Pac-Man. The Pac-Man Dreadnought.
Yes. That had the spinal mounted railgun of death.
Yes. It's the most goofiest looking ship, but it's such a beauty.
Oh, it's one of the best ships in the game.
Yeah, but you see one of those in the distance, then you go, wherever it's going, I don't want to be.
Exactly.
Wherever it goes, trouble exists, and I don't want my free trader ain't got the firepower to keep up with whatever can make that thing turn and look at it. No. Our little gun turret ain't doing jack to that thing. Do anything that makes an Imperial Naval Squadron move. No. But we're high level. No, no, we're not. And yes, some of the fun of learning a game is the point where we're just trying to make the rules work. And unfortunately, this does kind of bring us to one of the most grandpappy of
It's kind of like Six Nations says, Demon Sword, and then early days fighting rules were out. Anything that might stick,
right.
And that's what we're kind of getting down to, which
the sad part is that when you have a group who has grossly misread the rules, but we're all happy with how we've grossly misread the rules, and then one day one player walks in and goes, guys, we've been playing the game wrong the entire time. And at which point the rest of the other 8 people look at that one person and go, shut up. What? The game's played a whole different way. Shut up. Why? Our game is better. No, that's not how the game was supposed to be played. Shh, 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 shh. We're all having fun. Stop bringing the actual way to play into it. Like, but I want to play it properly. No, you want to play it properly. We push him off into a corner and go, the rest of us want to have fun. Proper. No. When everybody has fun, you're having a fun game. Much like how I will cling forever to first edition rules on how to roll stats for Legend of the Five Rings forever, and look at anybody who goes, no, you need to go play like it's second, in second, third, or fourth edition, and I'll just be like, those are no, the game sucks. No, but you can have skills past 5. There are no skills past 5. Yes, there is. There are not skills past 5. The game is about 5s. Note the name of the number of the name? 5. Legend of the Five Rings. The game ends at 5. But certain characters have it past 5. Yes. And they're named and they're special. And you can be named and special one day. Remember that shit goes the game ends. But where's that level? Oh, no, you're so interested. Yes. Look,
you're so innocent.
When you're playing, okay, yes. Oh, God. For the reminder for people who don't play Traveler, what horrifying nightmare ship we are talking about.
How you muted yourself when you sat down, bud? How you muted? How you're muted?
Motherfucker!
You did it when you sat down, so
bullshit. Okay, so anyway, the Pac-Man cruiser, the Pac-Man dreadnought, the ship of doom, that thing is when you see the Tigress, the dreadnought of death, moving anywhere, it's kind of like when you're playing Star Wars and you see a Star Destroyer. If you're playing with the idea that you have the Imperial source book, one Star Destroyer is a terrifying thing, especially when you're in anything short of a Moncal cruiser. That thing fills that role. Plus, that thing has the ability to turn whatever ship you're into a nice, glittery cloud. Yes, the Pac-Man, the Tigress.
Yes.
That is sad. That is suffering in a humorous gumball form. It's not fair.
There's a couple different versions of it out there. Like there's this one, but
that's the one where it has the blast doors closed, and that has the gun barrels open.
They even have a full preview here.
Oh yeah,
of each deck and everything else.
Oh yeah, the full terrifying layout of everything you'll ever need, because for some reason they think that you actually might get on board one. I don't know what.
No. I like how this entire thing is
It's
fuel.
Yeah.
And then if you look back here,
More fuel.
this is fuel, and this is fuel, and this.
For some reason, they have this grand idea that you're going to probably get captured and pulled and taken on board it, and then not executed for being on board.
Yeah, and that's the thing is the the
Oh dear God. Yes.
Well,
Because
it was
better trained than you.
there was two, and this is the spinal mount right here.
Yeah.
That's just pretty. I don't care what you got to say. That's just pretty coming out of the basically out of the mouth, and you just everything just goes boom.
Yes. But there are always certain threats that when you see it, you should just go, yeah. At that point, like, look, when you see an Imperial Naval Squadron and Traveler moving anywhere, the first thing anyone should be doing is, hey, comms guy, turn on the radio and backtrack. Has there been any weird broadcasts that have been transmitted across system for the last 3 weeks that we haven't been paying attention to? And at which point you look at it, you go find the horrifying message that says something bad has happened. This bad thing will either be the Emperor has died, things have gone wrong, or the Swords World Confederacy has done something stupid and now things have gone wrong, or insert somebody has done something stupid and now things have gone wrong. At which point we start plotting our course for the edge of reality, because most of us are all military vets and we all know we're about to get recalled and do active service, and we're all about to become miserable conscripts once more. Which is why you just try to stay as far away from the core as humanly possible, because they might forget we exist and not draft us. That's yeah. Or we continue to all play Imperial Scouts, who are act like we're Imperial Scouts, going off to explore strange new worlds and lost civilizations, and hopefully find something that doesn't kill us instantly. I'm okay with that.
I kicked myself out. Yay!
Oh, fantastic.
My other favorite one that actually is a heck of a ship.
Oh yes.
Now that is like one step down from the Pac-Man, but this one actually has the full spinal mount also.
But just not as many.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a pretty ship.
It's a pretty ship.
But
I think we're all just trying to dodge around the truth of what we don't want to go back. We don't want to talk about. And that's static. The static number on defense that we all know is out there, and we really don't want to talk about.
Well, the static defense that has like 50 different ways of adding it up.
I know, but if you've done your math, it shouldn't be hard to do. Like, once you calculate all the numbers, you have the threshold. And while you have games like L5R that has a static number that is calculable, and it does have a way to having a skill keep one. What's the first edition? A skill keep one addition to your number, and there were ways of keeping people from adding, from taking certain numbers. Yeah, that game you died. That game had the problem of you died really quick, because it was almost impossible, if you didn't actively try to defend yourself, to not be cut down first round, first turn with max damage. You're going to what's your Earth score? 2. Okay, cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he killed you in one round. You just died. You don't have enough hit points, and he rolled 12. You are crippled. That he only rolled 12. That's not bad. how much? Yeah, but you still almost died, and you still only had high floor. Yeah, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yeah, you only have 16 hit points, so you're unconscious because he hit you once with an average swing. Be careful. That guy behind him is bigger, tougher, and swinging a tree trunk. You're about to go into orbit. You're about to join the Skyrim space program, and there's not much you can do about it unless you can figure out ways of beating the game senseless. But then we come back. But that game, it rewarded you for not combat's lethal. Avoid combat. Strike first. Strike hard. But we still are dodging around. But that game. The design choice by the designers was simply, you have to be skilled. You can't be average. You have to be developed, or you're going to be a corpse. You can't. Hyper focus requires you to be very, very careful. You can't dump in on all offense, because that game at least broke up your offense from your defense. Defense was air, offense was fire, and so therefore you actually had. It wasn't just simply, which we've seen a continuous trend of, well, you have the God stat, which is every game. Dex does everything. Dex is how you not die. Dex is how you hit. If you pump both and you have good skills, you're set. I think there's like 1 or 2 games that breaks the mold of that, but not many. Or correction, everybody was trying to avoid being grandpa, which was simply, here's your set AC. Congratulations. And now, please jump in at any point, because I'm just rambling. And I'm just going to let you ramble. Yeah,
but we're looking at static, and if you static, the static AC has been kind of the mainstay if you look at a lot of the gaming systems. So especially the 800-pound gorilla, D&D in all its iterations. Even with THACO, it was still a static number. You could increase it or decrease it, whichever way you were, whether you were doing the THACO way or you were doing, first edition, the additive way. But you're looking at it. Basically, it comes down to how many of these bonuses can I stack together to get what I need.
And I think the biggest problem there is, it separates this from all the other versions that we've hit over, is that you've seen that in everything else, there's the active dodge, there's the active defense, and then there's a resistance. So that way and we have that sometimes in some variant rules that give us damage reduction, and which allows you to, soak hits. But so often what you encounter is this point of all you're doing is just soaking damage, and there's no penalty. A lot of the other games that came later have that the doom spot, the spiral of suck, where once you start taking injuries and penalties, you're spiraling down you're going to die, because if it was a close fight to begin with, you're now going to die because you're not rolling. Especially if your GM is one of those people who goes, you only ever fight somebody who's as good as you. So the moment that you have a penalty, it rapidly degenerates really quick, because it's hard to come back from the hole. Well, the elephant in the room and all of its clones has the problem of there's no doom spiral. It's just simply live, dead, live, dead, live, dead. That's all you are. I mean, you're at 100% or you're not. Yeah, yes, we can get temporary status effects. Yes, we can. There's weakening. There's other things, but there's nothing that comes from damage. Damage in every other game means something. You're hit. You're bleeding. You're hurt. It's pain. It's suffering. You're not as efficient. You take modifiers and penalties. You can. There's benefits and things that allow you to continue to move forward, to function, to stay a human being that can act. And there's ways to ignore wound penalties or get you extra wound boxes. But we come to what I hate is that especially when it's like a wall where supposedly your armor is invincible to all damage until it passes a number. And then you take all the damage. No mitigation, no nothing. So what strategy do you have? Do you have the strategy of, yes, in other games there is, I can buff my toughness or strength or whatever to make me more resilient to damage. But your only option you really have is pump con. Con will get you more hit points per level, but nothing else. There's no soaking it. So 10 points will always be 10 points, no matter what happens, unless you can find a way of, through magic items and gear, which kind of emphasizes, as a designer template, a designer standpoint is play a race that gives you damage reduction, play a class that gives you damage reduction, and get gear that gives you damage reduction, because that's the only way you're going to do anything besides stacking con. Or your only choice then is stack gear, stack magical bonuses, or you end up getting this other weird problem, which was the naked character, the character who wears a t-shirt, a combat t-shirt. Because there's a certain point where your dex, your dodge, and all your bonuses surpasses the benefit of armor. So at that point, you get this point where at point nobody wears armor, because at other games, at least, you have a way of staying viable no matter what you're playing for a good amount of time. You don't really see that problem come up. I think this might be just simply the mentality of the gamers who I've played with, who sat down and thought about it. Why does anyone besides the most powerful character wear armor? Well, because we all want to be able to survive. But so the threat that we're going to engage is geared to be able to defeat the person who has the most armor, right? Yes. His armor class is so high. So if the guy can hit him, the rest of us have no chance. So none of us wear armor. We're all going to wear t-shirts and bathrobes. We're going into combat wearing leaves, bathrobes, and t-shirts. Because, I'm going to wear leather armor. Why? Because I want a +2 to my defense? But the guy who we need to worry about hits on a 40. Your 13 doesn't do jack. And you're like, yeah, you're right. My 18 don't do shit versus a 40. That's right, guys. And so you run into this situation where the designers shoehorn you to, we either all have to be armored to the nines. We walk in like a space marine, as an assault space marine with a shield of doom and death, and you're glowing with magic like a Custodes, or you might as well wear nothing, because, well, unless a GM throws a bunch of little and then a bunch of little hamburgers show up at you and squeal about and talk about how awesome they are and poke you with sticks, and it's like, what are we here? What are they here for again? To waste your AoE spells on, and to make the guy who took Khy feel good.
Well, and that's the thing, is that, really the only way of, like you said, the soak is through
con.
Damage. Con and damage reduction. Getting a DR or something like that, or you load yourself, the entire party is dwarven stone armor on it with a weight reduction or something like that, to where they're getting their full decks finally, and their the full 9+ from the dwarven stone armor, plus the shield and everything else, and they're literally little mini rolling tanks.
Yeah, and that's almost the only way to, like, the game has designed itself to the point where it fits, it works, it's really okay. It's a functional game engine that has stood the test of time, but it's very limited, especially as you start to expand out what the scope of the game can do. Great for its intention, terrible for doing anything else anywhere else. And but that's what the designers wanted, and they aimed it, and it accomplishes the goal, but it also limits you on what you can do with it. Later on, we get more things that expanded out it a lot, but you have to almost look at what were the designers implementing, and how many viable alternatives do you have to be able to do this? Do you have any yes, as much as we might damn any of the additions that came after the early days, and the early days were good for what it does, but it offered more options for alternatives to play. And I know I kind of trashed a lot of the active passive defense, because I kind of glazed over that some games give you benefits to blocking, to dodging, to parry, to defense, to the idea of the active attack on attack, the parries come into it, the idea that you don't have to always be wearing battle dress, you don't have to be wearing the heaviest of full plates. And I give wonderful thanks to the designers who did give us characters who could parry. Hell, that was the one home rule for L5R I actually gave, was the idea that you're allowed to actually actively parry, actually pull your sword out and block an attack. I like Exalted for the ability to go, no, I use my wall, my diaglaive to put a wall between me and you, and I can block hits with my sword. That's cool. I like how we had multiple ways and as the games have evolved, we've gotten more viable choices on how to do more than just stand there and be a sack of rice, being beaten to death until you run out of points, and then you fall over, and then somebody heals you back up so you can fall over again. So you can get up, swing once, fall over. And there's not a lot, perhaps this is just me looking at it from playing enough times with enough different games to see where, okay, what designer? How did you design combat? Because honestly, offense is offense. There's so many ways of doing offense, but it all harkens down to it's an attack roll. And do you get to actually defend yourself? And in what way can you defend yourself? Is your only option to put a wall between? Is to dive for cover, put a wall between you and incoming fire, or can you block? Can you parry? Can you do something besides stand there? I know the static AC games give you it's the idea that of course you're going to be defending yourself. You're weaving, you're bobbing, you're dodging, and I'm like, but am I parrying? My attack skill doesn't increase my defense. Well, no, your attack skill increases attack, but eventually you got to find a way to continue to buff your defense so you're not outclassed. Well, that's the GM handing out magic. But what about skill? What about what if I want to portray a master swordsman who's just good at his trade. He doesn't need to wear full plate anymore. He is the wall of steel. He is able to block and defend. Well, that's just your full attack defense. Are you sure? And so these are the conclusions. Like when you look at the rule set, this is kind of where I was aiming all of this preamble towards was what is each game you play actually telling you with the rules for defense? What are they telling you? Are we looking at like Rift's Palladium with infinite awesome dodges, but your armor kind of like, sorry, I don't know Palladium very well, but I know Rift is simply you better dodge it or you're evaporated. Especially when somebody pulls out mini missiles. Once a mini missile arrives at the scene, eight missiles later, the game is no longer fun anymore because unless you waste your attack shooting down missiles and trying to not die, remember there's a certain threshold where you're going to eat missiles and you're going to turn into an explode. And 8d10 times it's like 8d6 times 10 equals more MDC than you've got, and you're going to die. Especially if you're playing, say, saying Robotech, and you're using an alpha or beta fighter, and they have approximately all the mini missiles in existence, all of them, and you end up having one alpha fighter fly by, fire, first attack, one salvo, second attack, another salvo, another attack, another salvo, and then you watch three things auto lose the attack, turn it, and explode into confetti. Now, suddenly you want to run a story where it's player versus player. A rogue REF unit decides to turn traitor and attack the party. Well, suddenly now it's an alpha fighter on an alpha fighter, and both start using their firing mini missiles at each other. And one player has to if you lose initiative, you guys start firing your mini missiles in counter battery mode, pretty much, to not die from the fact that there's a Macross murder massacre swarm coming your way, and you're going to die a horrible, horrible death if you don't, because otherwise you got to turn into gun mode, use your gun, and try to shoot down incoming shots. But the moment you fail, you're going to take, if they roll even moderately well, a critical amount of damage. So you can always, sacrifice your arms to protect yourself, but then you're suddenly armless, and you better run away really fast. So it all comes down to better. Whoever has the most missiles wins, and I think that's kind of why I stopped playing Rifts and Robotech / Macross, is because, well, whoever runs out of ammo first loses. And yeah, I love the games. I still have them, but I know what I'm going to be running into the moment I say, hey, we're playing an REF campaign. We're going to go against Robotech Masters. We're going to go after the Invid. We're going to go have some fun on the SDF3 and watch the players who I used to play with go, ooh, this is going to be fun. And then be able to go, okay, guys, are you ready to go? And go up against 300 Invid troopers. Oh, this is going to suck. Yeah, it's going to suck lots. But we also played a lot of Rifts, so there's a lot of engage the wonderful world of the coalition states are definitely against you, and good luck, because and then we had that one player. It's a fun game. I love the infinite dodges, but I kind of also know that armors for the SD games. We don't play with those very often, because trying to get players to play Palladium whenever I tried to get anyone running Palladium back in the ancient days, everyone goes, but we have D&D at home. And I'm like, but I want to play Palladium. We have Palladium at home, and there's D&D staring at me going, hi, I don't want McDonald's, mommy. I want something better.
No. It's the toddler coming up and going, uppies, 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 please, uppies. But yeah,
No.
but in in looking at it, I want to say, I think the only iteration of D&D that actually had something to do with a how damage was done, because things changed once you got to half health, was fourth edition. That's the only one that, and that's the thing, is that they waited until you got to half health. But that was the only iteration that I can think of really where they plugged that mechanic in.
And I
when
wish
you
they would
became bloody, when you became bloody is what they called it. And then because different things happen, you're either you weren't able to dodge as good, or your attacks become a little bit more wild, if I remember right. But I mean, there was also some benefits to it too, because if you're looking at like a barbarian, you get angry, you automatically fly into your rage, and at that point, whether you've activated it or not, that will go, and then you get additional. If you're already in your rage, I think you've got additional bonuses. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
It's been so
a
long
very
since
long time.
I touched fourth ed, so.
But I mean, that's the only one where they actually plugged in the rules of you getting bloodied or something like that. Whereas we were talking about the storyteller system before, where you had your boxes, your effectiveness went down as your health went down.
Yeah. And it's like a lot of these, like, and the thing is that for all of these, just all these choices, there's not they're honestly, if they were, I think the games that did it badly, we don't talk about because they're not memorable. But for all these games, they all have their benefits and penalties to them. And it's like, I know I rag on on D&D static defense and all of its clone static defense, but the thing is that it has a point, and it's a very versatile base to build on and work with. So I know I rag on it, but it's coming out of I don't want to say love, but definitely a respect for it. And the thing is that you can see why with knowledge of this, why other people did make other choices in their games elsewhere, where some people did probably ask, why can't my character just shrug it off? Because we've all been in a bar fight, or at least I think most of us have been in a bar fight or two. I don't know what you're talking about, where we punched somebody and then had that guy just turn around and look at us funny and go, "What was a mistake?" And your only thought is, "Well, I done fucked up today."
Usually I was the one they turned around to when they made that mistake.
Okay, so you were the guy who took the hit.
Well, no, I was the guy. No, I wasn't the guy that took the hit. I was the guy that came up after the first barrage was done, and grabbed him and goose stepped him to the door. And that's part of it.
Right.
And on that, kind of using that type of thought process, that is being basically caught off guard, and you're kind of like, wait, what's going on? Wait, I just punched this guy. Why am I now outside?
Why am I now outside? It's right. It's better than
I
where I've ended up. It's better than where I've ended up.
I don't want to go into the out. I want to stay in the in. It was one of those type of deals.
Right.
And it's looking at it, I think that it makes the game more realistic to, as you're taking damage, your effectiveness goes down. Because if you look at, I'm going to use I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but the second Dune, the newer Dune that just came out.
Yes.
When and, spoilers, when there's a fight, they get stabbed in certain places. Well, their effectiveness goes down because they're not able to hold the sword. We've seen this in other movies. Where for instance, the one that definitely comes to mind, Princess Bride. When Wesley is drugged and when they take him to Miracle Max, he's almost dead, not quite, and everything else. When he starts to fight, his effectiveness isn't there, but then it just he's effectively being healed, and then his effectiveness comes back.
And in a way, it's like I understand that different designers have different forms of abstraction. I understand that the defense and soaking ability was there because somebody said it didn't feel right to have especially with older rules for healing. I understand that I don't particularly like the fast, rapid healing of the current editions because I kind of want the idea of I want the pain, bloody, and suffering. And I think a lot of gamers, a lot of designers integrated the idea that no, combat is pain and suffering. It isn't some nebulous luck trait or stamina or willpower. It's actual meat flesh, and you're getting a punch. So I know that in some with some games, the abstraction is the hit point pool, where say go back to the bar fight. I wanting to go back up one of my friends who did something stupid, turn around and slug a guy. And then the guy turns around and goes, "Well, that was a mistake." Now, abstraction, like game abstraction 1. I done me my D3 plus 1 hit points of damage, of some dual damage, and the guy has way more hit points than me, and will now proceed to lay my ass on the barroom floor, and I will wonder what the fuck just hit me. And my friend goes, "Oh shit," and we get our butts kicked. Game 2, abstraction. I go punch somebody for 3 keep 2 damage. Boom. He goes, "Nice shot," but then proceeds to beat the crap out of me. Or game instruction 3. I make my attack roll. He just stands there and goes, "I can soak this. I have no fear whatsoever of your 2 dice plus 1 soak. I attack, and I'm going to soak it all day long." And then proceeds to beat the living snot out of us because, well, my friend's got a big mouth, and I'm about to get punched for it because I backed my friend up. Oopsie doodles.
And looking at the static, you also have to realize where it came from. The original staticness of it came from chainmail. Yeah. So keeping that in is still an homage back to the roots that where it was written. And that's one reason why they haven't really veered off that course. Just for the simple fact of they want to keep that static in there because it is the homage, it's whatever you want to call it, back to the origin. But sometimes you have to be able to take that next logical step in the game design.
And part of that is simply, but the thing is that it's a wall, and in essence, it's an infinite damage wall that no matter what you do, no matter how hard you hit, if you don't hit that number, it doesn't matter. Like, I guess this is another thing that I don't that is in this, and we go back to DR, which was so by anybody wearing chainmail, ignores X. No, it doesn't matter if it's a treant that hits you, a goblin, a kobold, or a mountain. If it hits your armor class, you take no damage. But if it hits you, you take 1d100, 1d100 times 12 damage, and you turn into a red smear. But don't worry, you hid behind a tower shield and you're wearing chainmail, so the guy hits you for he only rolled a 14, so he smacked your armor, and you took 0 damage. But otherwise, you take infinite damage. There's no mitigation, and I think that was kind of where problems for some people might have come into it, was the idea that it just works. Oh my god, I just used the Bethesda answer. It just works.
Yep. Well, and that's the thing is the even when you take that hit from that treant or the ogre, 14. Well, he hit your touch, so he's able to actually make contact, but it was kind of like, like
wow, that was nice. Oh, cool.
That was nice. That was refreshing. A nice wind.
That was a nice little bounce. A nice little brush there by my good friend, and there's ways of making it, fluffing it out, and storing it, but I can see now where other developers and designers went, I kind of want a little bit more, and I guess it's where we started seeing the evolution that armor causes, armor counts as DR. Armor reduces damage because you can get hit all day, but you're still going to feel it on some level unless you're wearing battle dress, and then you don't give a crap because you're wearing battle dress. Congratulations. Most of us don't get to wear that. And most of us don't get to wear all the cool gear, and that's just part of it. And like I said, all of them have benefits, all of them have flaws. It's like, I know some games where I know with the active resistance, active soak, active dodge, there's always that chance of the dice don't roll in your favor and you're about to get splattered. And I'm okay with that. I think it's kind of why I liked when Third made the choice. I hate how it's been nerfed in every edition since, but we got those 2 feats that allowed you to dump attack into defense. Because suddenly it took something out of the static realm and gave it a viability, like a chance to actually do something. And besides simply, it gave a few more options, which is not a bad thing, though they have discreetly made it the most ineffectual ability because they don't like the idea of, I think there's that in the designers' minds, they don't want the players being told no, where they can't auto hit at all times. And that it might have given people who weren't doing the game designer's optimal decision on choice an alternative. So the idea of, wow, wait, and I know they kind of rolled that in later editions over into going, well, no, everyone gets a fixed increase to their attack, to their AC at the same rate of their attack value, which I think is the worst decision ever made. Because at that point, you don't have, nobody really improves against each other. Against a peer adversary, nobody really improved. You level, so what? It doesn't do anything. That was a bad design choice for both Pathfinder 2 and 5th edition. Both bad. I love those games, but man, they are terrible for that. At that point, why did we level? To add more hit points, to gain another skill, maybe gain more feats, Pathfinder, and maybe increase our attack and defense, which was kind of a joke because now everyone advances at the same rate. that was again a terrible choice. But that's okay. That's my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep my opinion out. That was an active choice by those designers to try to make everyone on more of a playing field. But the problem is that, let's be honest, most GMs don't throw a varied variety of enemies at us. They throw things of equivalent peer threat value to us as our challenges. So we're going to always be against peer threats, which sucks because we never feel like we're better. We never feel like we've improved. And now, it's like, at least in older editions, the glory for all their warts and their benefits, attack at least increased at a rate separate from defense, and it took skill to figure out how not to die. And we had multiple attacks and other things and iterations. We'll get back to that. Put a pin into that. That's another day. But the idea that you are trying to not die from the first hit and you're trying to mitigate numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5 and offhand attacks and other weird things. So there was a reason to stay up there and either wear nothing or wear everything. Either wear a mountain or wear battle underwear and be more Dexy than God, which is technically actually a different way of doing the exact same thing that Storyteller and other games that have an active defense. So, wow, we come back to the exact same thing. Dex is the God stat. Whatever your game's version of Dex is the God stat. Why? Because it boosts because it often is your defense. Please, if you can find other games that do better, congratulations. You're breaking the trend that so many games just said Dex is everything. Dex is your to hit for range. Dex is your ability to not die. Dex is your defense. Dex is everything. Dex is how you avoid grenades and area of effect damage. This is where most of the death comes from. Congratulations. Best. If you've done different, I think congratulations, you've done a wonderful job of being different. But most games don't. Most games still have it being, I am a mountain of meat, which is I am a mountain of meat and armor, and I take hits and I deal damage, or I am a naked ninja jumping around everywhere because that's the only other viable, and everyone else is just like sitting in the background, making tea and wearing bathrobes because there's no other point. Because if the naked ninja and the battle plate don't die, are both killed, we're gonna die too. So why bother? Why bother putting it? Like, if you're not one of those two roles, don't bother. Which is, again, kind of how you play World of Darkness, kind of how you play Exalted, kind of how you play a lot of games. When you start cracking down the rules to their most bare bones at their core, what is the optimal choice? Don't be seen, be super agile, or be the biggest meatball in the room. There's no other choice. And if I gotta play a game like that, I want one where I can put my skills and my points, my experience points into my own and choose my own fate. If I want to dodge, block, parry, put a wall, carry a shield, that's my choice. But I want to have that choice. And when you have games that tell you you're not allowed to wear armor, you're not allowed to wear good armor, because honestly, in any game that allows you to wear armor, there's only two armors: no armor and all the armor. Unless your game gloriously allows you to have anybody gets to have a DR attached to it, then armor has a value. But if your armor is just there to act as a barrier between incoming damage and either no damage or all damage, and the attack values greatly exceed whatever your Dex plus Magic plus armor skill is, you might as well not wear any, because everybody and their dog is going to hit you, especially against a peer threat, or nobody can hit you, or in the case, if you look at 5th edition, everyone is now the same. You will never, if it took a 12 to hit you, you will never be anything other than a 12 to be hit. It's never going to change because when we all level up, well, everyone's attack goes up, but everyone's defense goes up. So it washes out. Why bother adjusting your scores? Oh, well, in case we find somebody lower than us or higher than us. Okay, if it's lower, why are we bothering? If it's higher, we're stupid for engaging it. But versus the threats that are actually story focused makes us feel like we're actually engaged in a challenge. It's against ourselves. You should always we're always fighting ourselves, and you're not anything better than what you are, and you'll never be better. Because usually when the GM hands out a +1 to hit, he's also handed out a +1 to AC. And most other players can find that same bonus pretty quick. And suddenly, whatever small advantage you might have gained is matched almost immediately by the... So there's never a point where offense beats defense or where defense beats offense. And that is static. So if you've built your character where it takes only an 18 to hit you and I'm not counting, I am negating... Take the equations, remove all modifiers, and if the number comes out to 18, congratulations, that's your number to be hit. You're going to be hit on an 18. You will always be hit on an 18, unless the bad guy is 3 levels higher than you, and then it becomes you're hit on a 16. Congrats. That's the bulk of the math that you're doing, and that's cool, but not cool because like I said, it's so static. But then again, you could also run into the problem of saying a more active offense, more active defense game, say West End game Star Wars, where I roll 7d6 plus 2, and the guy dodging has 6d6 plus 1. There's a good chance we're going to roll close, but also blow out bad. But there's also a second layer to that now comes in, which is now damage. The damage is now variable, and the soak is now variable. When you're playing storyteller, awesome to hit, might not be that great in damage. Might have a good soak. Dice rolls might go bad. I might only take 2 wounds, and they might not even be lethal. Oh wow, okay. And so there's some actual give to it. Meanwhile, if we play with the more static thing where if I know I'm always going to be hit on an 11 or better, I better plan on being hit on 11 or better. I get no say from this point forward. After character creation, I have no more say. I have no more input. All I can do is maybe boost my dex score so I can get a +1, so now I'm hit on a 12. Do I spend my money on a magic item and hope the GM lets me buy one so I can get to a 13 before the monsters start hitting harder and faster? And so I guess that comes down to, is the designers wanting you to have a chance, or do they want you to be a play piece on a map where you're just a static defense? Or say for a different game, one I haven't touched at all tonight, there's one of my favorite games of all time, BattleTech. Movement, speed, cover all influence your ability to your defensive modifier. And did the enemy move? That gives him a penalty to attack. So if they're running and I'm running, they're not going to hit me as well because they're running or they're jumping, and I'm moving quickly across the map. I get a better defense. This is something that I would like to see in more other games where, hey, are you actually moving around and quick? Oh, here's some modifiers. Are they moving? There's some here's some penalties. Here's some modifiers. Is there terrain in the way? Is there smoke? Is there things to worry about? More modifiers. I know I've been talking about role-playing games this entire time, but I just hit my favorite war game of all time and one of my favorite role-playing games, but nobody ever plays Mech Warrior because We have BattleTech at home, kids. It's like, let's be honest. We all want to play BattleTech. We don't want to play MechWarrior because nobody but me wants to sit there and calculate that. Hey, asshole, you just got hit with a PPC. That is approximately 3.5 man hours of work I gotta put in to fix that fucker because you got hit. Why did you get hit? Like, well, yeah, 3 hours, man. 3 whole hours. I gotta fix that hole in that leg, and that's gonna cost some money. Pony up the cash. I don't want to, yeah, but I want to go fighting. No, you need to go over there in that corner and cry to yourself because I'm going to be working on your machine for the next 18 hours. You owe me a beer. And because you wrecked it, you walked over a minefield, you fucked up the leg. Now there's an actuator fucked. Now we're all, I'll see you in 3 days, but I want to go fighting now. 3 days. What am I going to do for 3 days? I don't know. Masturbate in a corner. Just do something else. But the thing is that comes back to the game giving you modifiers for how fast you're moving, using terrain, using cover, other things, which I like that because it puts more options on the map. I know that when we play most role-playing games, we're not really thinking about the exact speeds, turn modes. We're not thinking about angles of deflection. We're not thinking about that. We're just simply, I move 5 feet into this corner. I get a flank attack, which gives me a bonus to attack. Or I put myself in behind this cover, which allows me 2/3 cover, and that allows me a +2 to my AC. Or I do this one thing to give me an extra dice to my damage. Or I'm using this swinging engine block as a way to get an extra dice of soak for that incoming sword swipe that would probably kill me, but I want to be able to not die. So hey, it's the Calcium Predator 2. There's a lot of options that I wish we could. I honestly would like to see more of, but I know that they're there. But it's going to be all house rules because again, we're not looking at the designer and what they're doing. And I'm sorry if I drove you off, Garrett. I'm sorry, Baron. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry if I put the entire chat to sleep.
No. I opened the door. It was getting very warm in here. So I opened the door so I could actually get some airflow going on. So
I know.
It was just a bit warm. No, the what you're bringing up is exactly, one of the pluses and minuses that a lot of people are looking for in their systems. And even on Thursday we're going to be doing heroic, which is basically based on the next generation or whatever you want to call it of face rip. And the thing is that even with that system, depending on how you are set up, your damage can be shifted one way or the other, depending on your character. So it's not a static, oh, boom, hit, or boom, I take damage. Okay, damage. Okay, I would normally take, this, but being that I have these two powers and they're active, I actually only take this. So it's a way of it's another way of the mitigation. So
I think that'd be awesome. I want to experience it, honestly. Actually, I kind of want to watch somebody else get punched really, really hard, but I know by luck I'm going to get hit with a building. It's superhero.
Yeah,
it's superhero land.
I can. You're gonna get shot with a laser because I can pretty much with the fire shield I've got block pretty much anything except for elemental type damage or lasers. So it's going to be anything physical, we're good. Anything non-physical, y'all are screwed.
Yeah, I'm going to be screwed. I'm going to get hit by a laser. It's just be what I do unless I decide to do something. I don't know. I'll find out on Thursday. I'm looking forward to Thursday.
Yes, I am. I'm also looking forward, and especially with the opportunity of playing with Cody, because I've seen Cody play in several different games, and I love the way he plays. And I mean, he's very good. It's fact in one of the Star Trek games that I was talking about, the Bear Run, he's playing the doctor, and he's playing a good old boy country doctor, and
Awesome.
which is great, So I think we've kind of picked this one apart.
I think so, and plus we laid a good foundation for later. Honestly,
Exactly. We can always cut. And that's the thing. We can always come back to it.
oh god,
Those of you that missed it in the beginning, this is going to be our new Monday show, the Khy Files, where we're going to actually sit and look at nuts and bolts, and basically kind of pick things apart, why things work, why they don't work, and if there are mechanics that you really would like us to look at, down below in the description
please.
is the Discord, and you can actually leave those in the Chimerians musings in that Discord. That's Bruce's overall Discord. If you're not a member of it, leave a comment there for Bruce, and that's where we're going to also be, putting stuff in for letting you guys know ahead of time what we're going to be talking about, stuff like that. So we're kind of utilize Khy's channel there a little bit in the Discord for some shameless self promotion, because that's what we do, and whatnot. So we definitely want to thank everybody, and we're gonna sit back. We may actually we looked at defense. I think maybe next week, because we talked about it a little bit and said put a pin in it for later. Maybe we need to look at offense.
We might need to, though. 2 weeks. I have my one traveler game next week. I don't want to miss it.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yes, this will not be every week. This will be every 2 weeks. So it will be every 2 weeks, so twice a month. So definitely make sure you do join us. Keep an eye on Chimerian's musings if you've got stuff you guys want us to look at. Even if it's kind of one of those weird out of the way, you're like, I don't know why this works in this system and it doesn't work in this system. Let us know. We'll dig on it, and we'll figure it out.
This is a great chance to learn new things, because obviously there's so much out there that there's no way any one of us knows all the answers to all the solutions. And maybe you've got a better take on something that that we've talked about, and want to throw it at us. And because please, where I'm wrong, I want to be corrected, so that way I know I can do better, because this is a chance to honestly open up and talk about things, because where I'm wrong, I want to be corrected. Because if I'm right, cool. But if not, I want to be I want to be fixed. I want to be told what's right and what's wrong, and where I'm wrong, so that way I can say no. No, you're wrong too. Or go.
Wait. I've got to get it in here. I got to get it in here. Akanaki. Well, we couldn't afford a goldfish, so we've got a jellyfish.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we should be wrapping up tonight, and then we'll all see y'all on another day.
All right. Thank you much. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And don't forget, this Thursday on our normal weekly show, we're going to have Bear the Gen X GM along with GM Cody with us, and we are going to be heroic. We're going to be playing the V3.1, because he put out a 3.1, and kind of go from there. So I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the live, and thank you much for joining us during the replays. And we will catch you next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night.